Located in southern Albania, Gjirokastra stands on the steep slopes of the Drino Valley, in a dominant position over a rich landscape of history, whose borders are bordered by high mountain peaks. Historical sources first mention the city in the 1336, when the Byzantine chronicler Johann Cantacuzino wrote about Gjirokastra. Under the despotate of Epirus, the city and its environs were under the rule of the Zenebishi feudal family. The historian of the life of Gjirokastra Skanderbeg, Marin Barleti, who wrote 36 years after the death of the hero, has presented the name of Gjirokastra in its original form, writing, "At the time of the siege of Berat by Skanderbeg, Gjirokastrum was on the hands of the Turks." It follows that the city is called first not Gjirokastra, but Gjirokastra. Gjirokastra is a city that is a unique evidence of a cultural tradition of life developed in the 14th up to 19th centuries. Here stands out the type of fortified house with a roof with stone tiles, in perfect harmony with the rocky landscape of the territory where it arises. Dwellings, a special type in the typology of Albanian and Balkan medieval dwellings, play an important role in the physiognomy of the city. Gjirokastra has 56 dwellings of cultural monuments of the first category, 502 of the second category, and many other complexes with historical, architectural, and cultural values. The Bazaar of Gjirokastra is a separate unit in terms of urban planning, always being together with the castle in the city center. The bazaar, in its current state, belongs to a complete reconstruction around the third quarter of the 19th century. The cause for this became a great devastating fire, which caused it to be completely rebuilt, preserving the old road axes by expanding them. The almost uniform architectural formulation of the shops, the solid constructions, often three-story, and the extensive use of iron profiles in the form of architecturals clearly speak of its complete reconstruction. Mosque of Memi Bey, the Mosque of Bazaar. Of the last three mosques of the 18th century, this is the most important in the city, being in the middle of the old bazaar. The Bazaar Mosque is the only intact mosque that has survived the devastation of the communist era. It received the status of cultural monument in 1973. Memi Pasha Mosque, erected in a narrow part of the new bazaar. It is a small, attractive, and timeless building that can hold up to 100 people. There is a magnificent minaret of hewn and decorated stone. Construction details. The Bazaar Mosque, from the construction inscription, dates back to 1754 till 1755. The mosque stands in the center of the city, on the west side of the bazaar, on sloping ground, like most of the city's buildings, and for this it represents a half-story type of construction. The particularity as well as the place it occupies in the ensemble, they have both defined its volumetric construction and the creation of a passage at the bottom, covered with arches in the central part and with two parallel arcades on the side. At the level of the prayer hall lead stone steps, with 2 climbing ramps, resting on a system of vaults. The mosque consists of a prayer hall, a partitio, and a minaret, in addition to the aforementioned substructures. The prayer hall is square in plan with dimensions 8.85 to 8.95 meters and is covered with a dome over trumpets in the corners. Unlike other mosques, the cubic volume does not have a great height, conditioned by the desire to harmonize with the ensemble, as well as not to increase the weights that are discharged on the substructures. The hall is entered through the gate on the north side, through a corridor lower than the floor of the partitio. Opposite the entrance, above the wooden structures, is the mihrab and the pulpit. Immediately after the entrance of the 4 wooden pillars, the mafilli is distinguished. The prayer hall is illuminated by windows on the north, west, and east sides, as well as by 8 drum windows, 1 for each side. The windows are arranged in 2 rows. The bottom is rectangular and the top is covered with a stone arch. Even the drum windows are covered with stone arches, which are placed according to the beams. In the volumetric construction of the exterior, the prayer hall consists of a cubic volume, which ends with a horizontal frame, while the octagonal drum with a roof is covered with stone slabs. The minaret starts with a high pedestal at the level of the infrastructure. The base is multifaceted, built of stone extracted from layered formations, very little worked. Behind a light frame rises the transitional part of the trunk pyramid, and above the body of the minaret with a polygonal cut. The body ends with the cauldron, the balcony of which exits the console with the mediation of 6 rows of jagged stones, which rise against each other, an unused solution elsewhere. In terms of planimetric construction, the porch of the Bazaar Mosque is a fairly developed example. The portico extends on 2 sides to the north and east. At the front, the main volume is open and rests on pilasters. Once upon a time, there were circular arches on them, of which today only the one from the west is preserved. The side is enclosed by a wall that has windows only on the east side. The Ethnographic Museum, House of Enver Hoxha. Gjirokastra's Ethnographic Museum stands on the site of the Enver Hoxha's childhood house, Albanian's communist dictator from 1944 to 1985. The museum building was constructed in 1966, after the original house was destroyed by fire. It is modeled on a traditional Gjirokastra house with many of the classical cultural elements, and it is estimated to be 3 times bigger than the original house. From 1966 to 1991, the building served as the National Liberation War Museum. In 1991, the exhibits from the previous Ethnographic Museum were moved into this space. There are 4 floors exhibiting the household items, folk costumes, and cultural artifacts typical of a wealthy 19th century Gjirokastra family of merchants or Ottoman administrators.